Far beyond the familiar constellations, hidden among the distant spirals of the cosmos, lies a galaxy unlike most. NGC 4490, known as the Cocoon Galaxy, spins through space with a distorted shape and an eerie, shimmering glow. It is a place where cosmic violence meets delicate beauty, where the aftermath of a galactic collision has given birth to a stellar storm. To some, it looks like a butterfly unfolding its wings; to others, it is a broken monster, warped by gravitational trauma. But both views are right, because the cocoon is transformation in motion. Billions of years ago, the cocoon encountered a smaller galaxy, NGC 4485, and the two began a gravitational dance that would change them forever. Their close encounter didn't result in an immediate crash, but rather a slow, tidal disruption. Gravity pulled at their stars, stretching out filaments of gas and dust like threads of silk being tugged apart. Streams of material now bridged the space between them, creating a cosmic umbilical cord, a lasting scar of their encounter. As the galaxies tore at each other, shockwaves ignited waves of star formation, triggering a blaze of newborn suns in once quiet regions. That is why the cocoon glows, not from a central quasar or supermassive black hole, but from countless young stars burning hot and blue. Their radiation lights up the surrounding dust, creating the comet-like sheen that gives the galaxy its ghostly beauty. Infrared and ultraviolet images reveal knots of intense starburst activity, evidence of a cosmic nursery in overdrive. The galaxy is still reeling from the gravitational interaction, its structure asymmetrical, almost broken, but alive. This glowing trail of stellar birth is not just a sign of chaos. It's also a symbol of rebirth. In galactic terms, the cocoon is young, still evolving, still reshaping its identity. It shows us what happens when galaxies collide not in fury, but in embrace. The result isn't destruction, it's transformation. Not death, but metamorphosis. And that metamorphosis is far from over. The Cocoon Galaxy is still unraveling its story in light and motion. Its twisted arms, rich in hydrogen gas, continue to collapse into dense pockets where gravity forges new stars from cosmic dust. These stars, blue giants, short-lived and powerful, release fierce winds and ultraviolet radiation that sculpt the surrounding clouds into glowing arcs and filaments. It's a celestial forge, where beauty is born from turbulence. Look closer, and you'll see something even stranger: the cocoon doesn't move like other spiral galaxies. Its rotation is uneven, its mass unbalanced, as if still haunted by the ghost of its galactic partner. The smaller companion, NGC 4485, has been dragged and reshaped into a warped remnant, still tethered by tidal streams. Together, they resemble a pair of torn wings, one bright, one fading, frozen in the slow-motion dance of gravitational entanglement. Astronomers believe this pair will one day merge entirely, becoming a single, larger galaxy. But until then, we are witnessing a moment in cosmic adolescence, awkward, luminous, and profoundly rare. Few galaxies in the nearby universe show this level of activity from such a close interaction without fully merging. That's what makes the cocoon such a compelling subject. It offers a glimpse into a fleeting stage of galactic life that lasts only a few 100 million years, a heartbeat in cosmic time. And as telescopes like Hubble and James Webb peer deeper into this glowing cocoon, they're not just observing its shape, they're decoding its past, its future, and its message. A message whispered in light, that destruction and creation are not opposites, but companions. That galaxies, like life itself, must sometimes fall apart to shine. To shine, yes, but also to evolve. What we see in the Cocoon Galaxy is not a final form, but a transition caught in progress, suspended between what was and what will be. Its brilliance is not a static glow, but the flickering evidence of a galaxy rewriting itself, cell by cell, star by star. Every luminous knot of newborn stars is a declaration, I am still becoming. And perhaps that's why it captures our imagination so strongly. In its warped beauty, we see echoes of our own nature. The cocoon is imperfect, asymmetric, wounded, and yet, radiant. It carries its scars openly, transforming them into luminous regions of creativity. It is not a pristine spiral, nor a stable elliptical, it is something in between. Something wild. Something alive. There's poetry in that. A galaxy torn open by gravitational tides doesn't retreat, it responds by igniting with light. It refuses to fade. Instead, it blazes with youth, even as its structure collapses and reforms. That duality, chaos and order, ruin and rebirth, gives the cocoon its strange magnetism. You cannot look at it without feeling that it is telling you something, even if only in the silent language of starlight. In deep space, silence reigns. But galaxies like the cocoon speak through color and form, through disrupted arms and blazing cores. They are not static monuments, they are stories. Not in words, but in trajectories and turbulence, in spirals stretched by time, in tales of light left behind like memory. And as we gaze across millions of light years, catching the cocoon mid-transformation, we're reminded that even in the vast, cold distances of the universe, beauty is born from upheaval. That light can rise from fracture. That a galaxy can glow like a comet, not to signal the end, but to announce that something wondrous has just begun. Something wondrous, and fleeting. For the Cocoon Galaxy, like all things in the universe, is a work in motion. The brilliant starbursts we see today will dim in time. The young, hot stars will live fast and die young, collapsing into neutron stars or erupting in supernovae that scatter heavy elements into surrounding space. These explosions will seed the next generation of stars, adding layers of complexity to the galaxy's chemical tapestry. In this way, even death feeds creation. Even endings write the beginning of the next chapter. The cocoon's glow, so reminiscent of a comet streaking through our skies, is not simply visual poetry, it's astrophysical evidence. A map of energy transfers, gravitational stress, and stellar ignition. Astronomers use every available wavelength, radio, optical, infrared, ultraviolet, to trace the invisible threads that pull the galaxy into its current form. And the more they study it, the more they see, filaments that twist like tendons, loops of ionized gas, tidal tails that stretch for tens of thousands of light years. It's like watching a cocoon made not of silk, but of starlight and gravity. And yet, for all our instruments and models, the cocoon still resists complete understanding. Its asymmetry suggests past collisions beyond the current companion. Its starburst activity ebbs and surges with a rhythm we're only beginning to decode. Even the nature of its central regions, whether it hides a quiet black hole or simply a dense star cluster, remains a subject of debate. It is a puzzle wrapped in radiance. A question flaring with life. But perhaps the most powerful thing the cocoon shows us is this: transformation does not always follow a script. It is wild. It is unpredictable. It defies the categories we try to place upon it: spiral, irregular, barred, elliptical. The cocoon breaks the rules not to destroy, but to create anew. It is not a finished form. It is a threshold. A moment of becoming, stretched across millions of years. And in that moment of becoming, we find a reflection of ourselves. Just as the Cocoon Galaxy resists neat classification, so too does human transformation. We are not one thing, we are many. In flux. Evolving. Torn between histories and futures, shaped by forces beyond our control, yet still capable of radiating beauty in the aftermath. The cocoon reminds us that disruption is not the opposite of growth, it is often its catalyst. That what appears broken may, in truth, be in the process of unfolding. If we could stand on a quiet world orbiting a star within the cocoon's shimmering arms, what would the sky look like? Would we see the faint streamers of starlight stretching toward the distant NGC 4485? Would the night pulse with the glow of newborn stars, too many to count, too bright to ignore? Perhaps it would feel like standing inside a cosmic storm, one not of violence, but of recreation. A storm that doesn't destroy, it rearranges. That is the deeper mystery of the Cocoon Galaxy. It doesn't just glow because it is active, it glows because it is alive with story. It is writing itself across the canvas of the universe, carving a signature of gravity and light into space-time. It is the butterfly, emerging from a rupture. It is the monster, reshaped by time. It is neither, and both. And while our telescopes record its photons from millions of years ago, what we truly receive is a lesson, that transformation takes time, that beauty can rise from asymmetry, and that light, real, radiant light, often comes from places that have been torn wide open. And so, the cocoon continues to drift through the cosmic sea, a glowing fragment of galactic evolution frozen in a luminous sigh. It does not know that we are watching. It does not know that it has become metaphor, mirror, muse. And yet, it gives us everything, a glimpse into the mechanics of the universe, a canvas for the human soul, a reminder that what is deformed can still be magnificent. In some distant epoch, long after the last wave of starbirth has quieted, the cocoon will settle. It may merge fully with its companion, becoming a more stable, unified form. Its brilliant clusters will dim, its tails will fade, and its strange, radiant shape will be remembered only through the records of those who once looked up and saw more than just light, they saw motion, struggle, rebirth. And perhaps this is the true meaning of the cocoon, that even the most fleeting phases of transformation are worthy of reverence. That what we call intermediate is not unfinished, but essential. It's the hinge between states, the moment between collapse and becoming. Most galaxies live in long, quiet chapters, but the cocoon burns through pages. And we, lucky enough to witness it, are reading a rare sentence in the story of the cosmos. Because ultimately, the cocoon doesn't ask for understanding. It simply continues, glowing, spinning, changing. A whisper of stardust caught in the grand breath of the universe. It continues, not because it chooses to, but because the laws of the universe demand it. Gravity pulls, gas collapses, stars ignite, and time carries the whole tapestry forward. The Cocoon Galaxy is not striving for perfection, nor reaching toward an ideal, it is simply obeying the ancient rhythms written into the very fabric of space-time. And yet, in this unconscious obedience, it creates something astonishing. Something that defies expectation. Something that moves us. We study galaxies like the cocoon to understand astrophysics, how gas behaves in tidal interactions, how collisions reshape structure, how starburst regions evolve over time. But what we gain is far more than data. We gain perspective. We gain wonder. A luminous cocoon hanging in the void is not just a system of equations, it is a cathedral of chaos and light, stitched together by invisible forces, echoing with the memory of impact. And deep within those chaotic arms, beyond the bright knots of new stars, past the veils of dust, lie the survivors. Ancient stars, quiet and dim, that predate the collision. They orbit steadily, like monks in meditation, wrapped in the frenzy of a changing cosmos yet untouched by it. These stars are the memory of the galaxy before transformation, proof that continuity exists even amid radical change. They are the low-burning embers beneath the firestorm, whispering, "We were here before the storm. We endure." The Cocoon Galaxy, then, is not just a picture of change, it is a layered symphony. Old and new. Calm and eruption. Light and shadow. And through it all runs the thread of cosmic time, unhurried and relentless. Millions of years from now, its current shape will no longer exist. The brilliant glow we see today will have faded. But the matter, the stars, the dust, the dark matter scaffolding, it will still be there, repurposed into a new form. A new name. A new story. And what of us? We are the witnesses. Fragile beings on a small blue planet, staring through lenses and mirrors, collecting light from a distant galaxy that doesn't know we exist. And yet, from that light we craft meaning. From that structure we find reflection. We, too, live in cocoon phases, shifting, shedding, breaking, becoming. We, too, glow sometimes not despite our chaos, but because of it. Yes, the cocoon asks nothing of us, and yet it gives. It gives the gift of perspective, quiet awe, and a sense that even in the farthest reaches of space, transformation is not only possible, but inevitable. And in that inevitability, there is something strangely comforting. Because if stars can be born from the torn gas of colliding galaxies, if beauty can emerge from gravitational disarray, then perhaps there is hope woven into the deepest laws of the universe. The light from the cocoon takes about 30 million years to reach us. That means we are not looking at what it is, we are looking at what it was. We see a past moment, suspended in space, still unfolding before our eyes. And yet, to us, it is alive. Its starlight still enters our atmosphere, still strikes the lenses of our telescopes, still activates neurons in the brains of scientists and dreamers alike. It's an ancient signal arriving in the present, a kind of cosmic time travel, reminding us that even what is long gone can still have meaning, can still shine. This alone elevates the Cocoon Galaxy from an astronomical object to something almost spiritual. A fossil of motion. A monument to impermanence. A mirror held up to all things that change, break, heal, and continue. It teaches us a subtle truth that no equation can contain: the universe is not made of stillness, but of momentum. Nothing stays. Everything flows. The cocoon is beautiful because it is unfinished, because it is unresolved, because it is in flux. And when its light finally fades, it will not be gone. It will live on in data archives, in photos captured by space telescopes, in the memory of those who studied its strange arms and glowing knots. But more than that, it will live on in the idea it represents, that even in the most chaotic of moments, something luminous can arise. Somewhere in the intergalactic dark, there are other galaxies undergoing similar fates, colliding, reshaping, igniting. The cocoon is not alone. But it is ours to witness, now. A gift of timing, of orientation, of curiosity. And as we stare into its unraveling spiral, we find ourselves not as outsiders, but as part of its story. The cocoon evolves, and so do we. It brightens, and so do our questions. It stretches across space, and so do our imaginations. And as our imaginations stretch to meet it, we realize something profound. The Cocoon Galaxy is not just an object in the sky, it is a process. A slow, majestic unfolding written in the language of gravity and time. It is not a single moment but a sequence of moments, layered upon one another like geological strata, each shaped by ancient collisions, flowing gas, stellar birth, and death. It is a story told over millions of years, and we are catching only a single chapter. What we witness as light is, in truth, memory. A memory of forces that once shaped galaxies long before humans existed. The cocoon reminds us that the cosmos is not merely a backdrop, it is the origin of all things. Every atom in our bodies was forged in ancient stars not unlike those now being born in the cocoon's glowing heart. That dust and gas, compressed by time and trauma, is the same stuff from which planets and life emerge. To gaze into the cocoon is, in a sense, to gaze into our own ancestry. And yet the cocoon is also unique. There are countless interacting galaxies in the universe, but few shine with this level of starburst intensity. Few bear such elegantly tangled arms. Few look so much like something torn and sacred at once. Astronomers have categorized it as a Magellanic-type spiral, but such terms feel too clinical for a system so emotionally stirring. The cocoon is not just a classification, it is an experience. Its asymmetry is not disorder, it is character. Its glow is not accidental, it is earned. We speak of galaxies as structures, but the cocoon defies structural thinking. It pulses like a heartbeat. It folds and stretches like breath. It does not sit still, it becomes. In it, we see not just a map of stars, but a philosophy of impermanence. Nothing in the cocoon is fixed. Its stars will fade. Its companion will fall closer. Its shape will warp. But this very impermanence is what gives it meaning. The cocoon is beautiful not in spite of its fragility, but because of it. And perhaps that is what draws us in, again and again, to these distant lights. Not just the spectacle, but the sense that something vast and real is happening out there, beyond our reach, and yet somehow deeply connected to who we are. The cocoon doesn't ask for viewers, but it receives them. It does not speak, but it teaches. It does not live as we do, but it lives. Because to look upon the Cocoon Galaxy is to face the paradox of cosmic time, that what is distant can feel intimate, and what is ancient can feel immediate. We are separated from it by 30 million light-years, a distance so vast our minds cannot truly grasp it, and yet, something in its shape, its fire, its broken symmetry, resonates. It calls to something buried in us. Something wordless. Something that understands, at a fundamental level, that transformation always comes with pain, and that light often emerges only through rupture. The cocoon is not an idealized spiral like the Milky Way, nor a graceful elliptical drifting in retirement. It is a galaxy caught mid-becoming, its form stretched, its arms torn, its dust ignited. And this incompleteness is what gives it life. What we are witnessing is not a conclusion, it is the in-between. And in a universe governed by entropy, these brief luminous interludes are rare and precious. Perhaps the cocoon is beautiful because it is unfinished. Because it is vulnerable. Because in it we sense not perfection, but striving. A striving without intent, without consciousness, but with undeniable motion. That is what we are, motion within stillness. Meaning within chaos. We are drawn to the cocoon not just as scientists or artists, but as participants in the same cosmic narrative. What it is doing, we are doing. Differently. Briefly. But no less truly. Think of the stars being born in its glowing knots right now. They will live and die long before their light ever reaches another intelligent eye. And yet they blaze all the same. Not for an audience. Not for a purpose. But because that is what they are made to do. In that way, the cocoon teaches the most difficult and liberating truth of all, that worth does not depend on permanence. That brilliance is not reserved for the undamaged. That transformation is not a detour, it is the way. So let the cocoon spiral. Let it tear and glow and merge. Let it write itself in the language of collapse and creation. And let us, small though we are, listen to its silence, study its scars, and learn from its light. Because the cocoon does not just whisper through its light, it remembers. Every distorted arc, every plume of glowing gas, every displaced star is a record of what came before. It remembers the slow approach of its companion. The rising tension of gravity. The invisible hands that pulled at its arms until they broke. It remembers, and it carries those memories not in words or thoughts, but in form. In shape. In motion. Its entire body is an archive written in stellar fire. And what is memory, if not the shaping of identity? The cocoon is not what it once was, and not yet what it will become, but it is whole, even in transition. It is not waiting to be beautiful. It is not waiting to be complete. It shines now, as it is, fragmented, asymmetrical, alive. And in this, it teaches something that no theory of galaxies alone can tell us, that wholeness is not the absence of damage. It is the presence of continuity, of resilience, of light that endures despite. We often speak of galaxies in cold, distant terms, systems, formations, masses, flux. But the cocoon strips away that detachment. It is too intimate, too raw. It is a wound lit from within. A wound that sings. And when we look at it, not just with instruments, but with imagination, we recognize it for what it truly is, a cosmic gesture of becoming. Perhaps that is the secret behind its comet-like glow. Not merely the emission of young stars or the scattering of dust, but a signal. A beacon that cuts through time to reach us. It says, this is what it means to change. This is what it means to let go of form and find fire. To lose shape and gain radiance. To break open and still create. To shine, not for permanence, not for recognition, but because the process itself is sacred. And isn't that, in some quiet way, what we all hope for? That our changes might mean something. That our scars might speak. That we, too, in our brief flicker of cosmic time, might glow, even if no one ever sees it. Even if, like the cocoon, our light travels through the dark, unobserved, unmeasured, but real. So let the cocoon spiral on. Let it twist and blaze and dissolve. Let it remind us that nothing stays the same, and that this is not a tragedy, it is the pulse of the cosmos itself. We are not here to resist change, but to be transformed by it. To let it shape us. To let it break us open and fill us with light. The cocoon will fade, one day. Its fire will settle. Its dance will end. But the light it sends out now will keep moving, long after the source is gone. And so, in the grand stillness of the cosmos, where time stretches far beyond our reckoning and space expands without edge, the cocoon leaves behind something more enduring than structure. It leaves a resonance. A quiet echo that lingers in us long after the telescope is turned away. Not because it demanded our attention, but because it offered a truth so few things can, that the universe is not a place of perfection, but of perpetual transformation. This truth does not comfort in the way soft things do. It is not easy. It tells us that nothing will remain as it is. That everything we know will shift, stretch, collapse, and be reformed. But it also tells us something beautiful, that in that continual unraveling, there is light. Not just the literal starlight born of fusion and fire, but the symbolic light of meaning. Of significance. Of grace. The cocoon reminds us that there is no final form. Not for galaxies. Not for lives. That all things are process, motion, change. And if the universe is sacred, then perhaps this endless cycle of becoming, is its most sacred act. Stars are born, burn, and die. Galaxies merge, fall apart, rebuild. Civilizations rise and fade. Individuals change beyond recognition. And in every phase, there is something worth witnessing. Something luminous. It is humbling to realize that we caught this galaxy mid-dance. That, by pure accident of space and time, we exist in the narrow window during which its transformation is visible. Had we lived too early, we would have seen a quiet spiral. Too late, and we'd find only the remnant of a merger. But we are here now. Watching. Interpreting. Writing poems in the language of starlight. And maybe that is not an accident at all. Maybe the purpose of consciousness in the universe is not to conquer or to master, but to observe. To witness. To feel awe, deeply and without explanation. To look upon the cocoon and recognize something wordless and vast within ourselves. A memory we never lived. A grief we never owned. A becoming that mirrors our own, flickering quietly through every cell, every breath, every choice to change. So the cocoon spins on, uncaring, magnificent. And we, tiny and impermanent, carry its light forward in the only way we know, by telling its story. Then let us carry it to its quiet crescendo. Because stories like the cocoons are never truly finished. They echo, like ripples in a dark sea, long after the stone has sunk. And so we hold its image, not just in data, but in memory. In metaphor. In myth. The galaxy becomes more than gas and stars, it becomes symbol. Of resilience. Of impermanence. Of becoming. We will not see its final shape. No human will. The light of that future has not yet begun its journey to us. Long after our own civilization has dimmed, long after our monuments have crumbled and our names have been forgotten, the cocoon will still be shifting, folding into a new identity. A merger, perhaps. A fading ember of starburst activity. Or maybe something stranger, something no mind yet born could imagine. And still, the photons it sends today, this very moment, travel outward. silent, unyielding, headed toward planets we will never see, past stars not yet formed, across a darkness that has no end. In this way, the cocoon becomes eternal. Not because it does not change, but because it does, and in doing so, leaves a trail of fire across time. Maybe this is what eternity looks like, not stillness, but continuation. Not perfection, but motion. Not a galaxy frozen in time, but one unraveling with luminous grace, piece by piece, into the unknown. And as we sit here, fragile minds on a quiet planet, wrapped in atmosphere and thought, we understand something that can't quite be spoken. That the cocoon is not out there. It is also in us. We are made of that same dust. We are shaped by those same forces. We, too, are spiraling. We, too, are trying to become something whole out of what has been broken. So remember this. When you look into the sky and find that glowing wound among the stars, you are not just seeing a galaxy. You are witnessing a truth the universe rarely speaks aloud. That in destruction, there is genesis. In distortion, there is beauty. And in every one of us, there is a cocoon, still unfolding. And in that unfolding, there is a kind of quiet defiance. A defiance against finality. Against the illusion that anything, once torn, cannot become radiant again. The cocoon does not resist the forces that shaped it, it lets them move through it, reshape it, ignite it. And somehow, it becomes more. Not less. More luminous. More expressive. More true to the invisible symphony playing out in the deep fabric of spacetime. We often fear change. We cling to symmetry, to stability, to the known. But the cocoon shows us that evolution is not a rupture, it is a rhythm. That to bend is not to break. That to change is not to lose oneself, but to find a deeper form of being. The galaxy's fractured arms, stretched by gravity's unseen fingers, are not signs of damage. They are brushstrokes. The canvas is vast. The painter is time. And in this art of the infinite, we are the briefest witnesses, blink and you miss it observers in a cosmos 13 billion years old. But maybe that's what makes it matter. Maybe it is precisely our brevity that makes our witnessing sacred. We see, for a flicker of existence, the unfolding of a galaxy caught between states. We see it not as data alone, but as symbol. As mirror. As lesson. Let this then be our inheritance, not only to map the stars, but to listen to them. To hear in their silence the truths that surpass language. That all things become. That becoming is never neat. That even in the darkest regions of space, there is an impulse toward light. Not the violent blaze of dominance, but the quiet, persistent glow of rebirth. So let the cocoon remain what it is. A galaxy in between. A metaphor in motion. A luminous fragment of the universe's long, unfinished poem. And let us, just for this moment, not rush to solve it, or define it, or reduce it to parts. Let us simply stand in awe. Let us be still in the presence of something so vast, so ancient, and yet so familiar it feels like the echo of our own becoming. Because maybe, just maybe, the Cocoon Galaxy does not need to be understood. Maybe it only needs to be witnessed. Then let us remain with it a little longer. With the quiet spiral, the torn arms, the glow that defies explanation. There is something sacred in a galaxy that does not fit its name. The word cocoon implies containment, protection, stillness. But this cocoon is open, exposed, radiant with turbulence. It is not wrapping itself in silence, it is unwrapping itself into revelation. Not hiding, but becoming visible, slowly, magnificently, across the void. And still, the name fits. Because a cocoon is not a shelter from the world. It is a place of transformation. A place where a former self dissolves. Where form collapses, and something new takes shape. A cocoon is not the end. It is the threshold between what was and what dares to be. In this way, NGC 4490 lives up to its name more truly than most. It is not merely in a cocoon phase. It is the cocoon. Its stars, its gas, its shattered elegance. They are the swirling interior of a metamorphosis playing out at cosmic scale. And just like the butterfly, the cocoon is not aware of what it will become. It has no map for its future. No certainty. Only motion. Only response. Only the slow reshaping of what is into what might be. How strange and human that is. We, too, pass through our own cocoon phases. Periods of loss, of rupture, of reshaping. We, too, break and become. Not always beautifully. Not always visibly. But always meaningfully. And perhaps that is why this galaxy moves us. Why, despite its distance, we feel something stir when we look at it. Because it tells us. You are not alone in your becoming. Even the stars must break to be born. Even galaxies must lose their symmetry to find their next shape. Even the universe, vast and cold and silent, carries within it the promise of transformation. And that promise lives in us, too. Shall I continue, perhaps with a final reflective passage to gently close the cosmic arc? Then let us close this journey, not with an ending, but with a breath. Because the story of the Cocoon Galaxy is not one of completion, it is one of continuity. Even as we turn away from the telescope, the galaxy goes on. It spirals. It glows. It reshapes itself in silence. And long after our thoughts have drifted to other things, it remains there, suspended in the dark, a luminous question mark written in stardust. Perhaps the deepest truth it leaves us with is this: that transformation does not require understanding. It does not wait for permission. It does not announce its purpose. It simply arrives. Unfolding across years, across light, across the quiet spaces inside us. And if we are lucky, we notice. We stop for just long enough to see what is becoming, before it becomes something else. So let the cocoon be what it is. An unfinished galaxy. An unfinished thought. An unfinished reflection of us all. Let it teach without speaking. Let it guide without moving. Let it simply exist. So that we may remember. That to be in transition is not a flaw. It is a force. That to glow while unraveling is not a contradiction. It is the essence of becoming. And that far beyond the edge of what we know, in a spiral torn open by gravity and time, something ancient is still turning, still burning, still becoming. Even now. Even here. Even in us. And so, the cocoon turns. It turns not for us, not for glory, not for any reason we can measure, but simply because that is what it was born to do. To spiral through the dark. To shatter and shine. To carry its memory in motion. To become something new. Even as pieces of the old still drift within it. We, too, move forward now. Changed, perhaps, in small and quiet ways. Carrying the image of a broken galaxy. That was never truly broken. Only transforming. Only becoming. Only glowing in the dark. As a silent reminder. That beauty is not in the stillness of form, but in the courage to change. This is what the cocoon teaches. This is what the stars remember. And this is what we take with us. As we step back into our own lives. Carrying a little more wonder. A little more light. And a deeper knowing. That we, too, are still unfolding.